Okay, it's about 7 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Tonight is the April 14th meeting of the St. Charles County Council. If we could, we're going to have Sister Maureen Glavin from the Academy of the Sacred Heart come forward, and she's going to lead us in an invocation. And then Representative Joe Brazel will lead us in the pledge.
Gracious and loving God, we ask this blessing on this gathering of decision makers. May you fill them with wisdom, may you fill them with discernment, and may you fill them with your Holy Spirit. We ask you to bless all in St. Charles County. May we as a community be so filled with your Spirit that we reveal your love and your life and your goodness in all that we do, in all that we say, and in all that we are, so that this county may give you glory. We ask all of this through the powerful name of Jesus and through St. Charles County's Saint Rose Philippine Duchesne. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and thank you, Sister Glavin. We appreciate you coming out to Cottleville. I guess first we'll thank the City of Cottleville for hosting us tonight. As of the next council meeting, we will be back in our normal digs at over on 3rd Street. So it looks like hopefully everything has been repaired now and we don't get any more roof leaks. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Joe Cronin.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Brazel. Councilmember Mike Elam.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Klinghammer.
Here.
Councilmember Dave Hammond.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Hollander.
Here.
Councilmember John White.
Here.
Okay, first we have the public hearing on the proposed traffic regulations. Is there anybody that would like to speak about those, or is there any questions from the council? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the portion of the meeting that's open for public comments. This is the time that anybody that wants to talk about anything that's relevant to the county, it's your opportunity to address the council. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make any comments tonight? Yes, Mr. Dienoff.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of council. A.C. Dienoff, county resident. First thing is the April 8th, 2014 election ballot had numerous problems. People at the polls were rejected for curbside voting, which is in violation of the Handicap Accessibility Act of the Elections Code of the federal government and also Chapter 115. There also is a problem where there was blue Sharpie pens, fine-tuned. Many of you probably voted in the April election. And when you voted, it bled through to the other side of the ballot. And so there's many questions about if there were extra votes that were counted or not. And that will be the subject of a lawsuit filed against the election authority and its director in coming weeks. Chapter 115.501 calls for the creation of the verification board, which unfortunately our election authority totally disregards and picks people of his own choosing rather than from the chairman of the political parties involved. And before the meeting, the verification board shall give notice of the time and place of such meeting to the entire county. And so I'm asking the county councilor, Mr. Harold Ellis, make sure that gets done. As of today at 5 o'clock, there was no posting on the website, no posting at the district headquarters of the election authority, and that is a definite violation of Chapter 115. The lawsuits of sexual harassment need to stop. We have sexual harassment claims that have now been filed in the Department of Corrections against the county executive, administration, and other departments, including the county election authority. It's high time that the county executive and his administrative staff stand up and educate the employees and department heads that sexual harassment will not be condoned or allowed to happen here in St. Charles County. Enough is enough. It's costing us tens of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees, and we're on the chopping block to lose $35 million in lawsuits in these 3 separate lawsuits. And I believe we're now up to about 18 different county employees saying employment discrimination and sexual harassment. On your agenda tonight is a bid for $250,000 transportation display to give to a firm out of Bethesda, Maryland. Why wasn't there disclosure of bids from all the other 8 parties that were notified? You got to be flipping kidding me here that the council's even entertaining this type of expenditure. We have a very ample staff that is certified and highly educated. We have a full-time curator, a full-time historian, and I think that we could tackle some of the things that are in this $250,000 price tag right here in-house and keep it right here in our county rather than spending our tax dollars in Bethesda, Maryland. The proponent, Mr. Steve Feldman, Design LLC, proposed for the $250,000 for research and analysis. We hire full-time employees. Conceptual design of exhibits.
Mr. Dinoff, your 3 minutes are expired.
I ask that you vote no on this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to discuss any of the issues that Mr. Dinoff brought forward? Is there anybody that would like to address any other county issues? Okay, that portion of I'll close the public comment portion then. Moving on to oral report from the county executive.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just a few quick things here. You notice for our approval of nominations, appointments, we have Catherine Dreher. And just coincidentally, Catherine, who's agreed to serve on Board of Adjustment, is actually a resident of Cottleville and works in Cottleville. And if she would stand up, I want to introduce her to you. And I'm sure if you have any questions, she'd be glad to answer them, but she'd probably prefer that you didn't. Catherine, thank you for serving.
Thank you.
And the only other thing I have, Mr. Chairman, is of course to thank Mayor Hennessy and his staff for allowing us to use their facility. As you mentioned earlier, we're not quite ready for prime time yet in our own facility, and this worked out great. This obviously is a big year for the city of Cottleville. I can't let it pass without making at least one historic reference. I think it was in 1846. Sometime in the 1840s, there was actually a petition circulated to make Cottleville the county seat. And of course, that was in the days when the Boone Slick Trail was the main thoroughfare through the county. And Cottleville was located on that trail. People stopped here. And it was probably growing much faster than the city of St. Charles. So anyway, we could be having a county seat day in St. Charles instead of out here. So, Mayor Hennessy, thank you again for your hospitality.
Thanks for coming to the greatest city in St. Charles County.
Well, it is a beautiful building that y'all built out here. It's very nicely done. Thank you. Thanks, Steve. Next, we have the consent agenda. We have a couple of items that the administrative staff has asked us to withdraw. The executive office has asked to withdraw the bid from the agenda for tonight's meeting, and they will resubmit it when it's ready. And they have also asked us to take the mower off, the one for the Parks Department, the Toro Groundmaster lawnmower. So those two things have been removed at the request of administration.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Could I also ask that you remove the transportation Gateway Green Light? Mr. Greisu has some comments that I think would be relevant, and I think you enjoyed hearing.
Okay. So you want to remove that one also?
Yes.
And
Vote on it separately.
vote on it separately, or?
I'll make a motion to remove the transportation from the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. That one's been removed also then. Any of the rest of the consent agenda? Any questions, comments about the remaining portion?
Just so we're clear, Mr. Chairman, that's the Heritage Museum design?
the design of the Heritage Museum and the mower
Okay.
have both been removed, and we're going to discuss separately the Transportation Gateway Green Light Phase 2 Package 1.
Make a motion to have those removed, Mike.
Yep.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to have those removed. All in favor of removing those, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Okay, now considering the rest of the consent agenda, is there anything else, or is there a motion to approve the remaining portion?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the remaining portion of the consent agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, the first item that we're going to discuss separately then is the Gateway Green Light Phase 2 Package 1. John?
Well, Jack gets us set up. I appreciate the council's time tonight, and I am excited to report a few outcomes of having a Gateway Green Light project in St. Charles County. Recently, we've had 3 emergency closures on our river bridges. The first was on March 28th on the Blanchette Bridge. The eastbound lanes, there was 2 lanes that were closed due to an expansion joint that started to fail. The second was on this 370 bridge, Discovery Bridge, a few days later on April 2nd. And the most recent was on I-64 when the crane broke loose and started to lean against the bridge there. And during each of these examples, although we're in the very initial phases of Gateway Green Light and getting it up and operational in our investment, there were some small benefits that were had during each of those closures. So I wanted to just go through those real quickly with the council. What this map shows us is a screenshot from the Gateway Green Light server. And what you'll see is that each one of those dots represent a traffic signal in St. Charles County. And we have 336 traffic signals throughout the county, owned and operated by approximately 9 jurisdictions. And what makes Gateway Green Light kind of unique to the St. Louis region and really unique to the Midwest, as well as other areas of the country, but primarily in this area, is that it includes the signals of the Missouri Department of Transportation, the County Highway Department, and all the cities. What's common about these ATMS, these Advanced Traffic Management Systems, is that the state will have their system, the city will have their system, and they operate those independently. This program has brought all of those signals under one umbrella. And so this map, you'll notice like the signals on Route K, as well as the ones at the interchanges, as well as all those signals throughout our municipality and throughout our county, are all brought back to a centralized server. And that's really what makes this program unique and important to the region. I will point out this map also shows what you would like to see is the dark green color. That means the signal is operating, functioning well, and it's coordinated with the signal either upstream or downstream. And so one of the things that you can see is that in the city of St. Charles, there's a lot of purple and other colors. And that's an area that what this program has helped identify is that those are signals that need to be brought up to upgraded, better coordination. And if you look even a little bit closer, I'm a little bit off subject, is you look at Mid Rivers Mall Drive, if you can kind of see Salt River Road is kind of the white line above, you'll notice if you get right at that and you zoom in, which you probably can't see at that level, there's one signal in there that is kind of a brownish color. And that signal, although that interchange has been constructed and open to the public for several months now, continues to not be brought into the system. And so it can't be coordinated with the other signals. And we're hearing quite a few complaints from folks, especially during the Saturday shopping period heading north, that they're having congestion. Well, if you have several signals coordinated together and you have one that's not playing ball well, you end up with congestion. And so this program has helped us to identify that and also be able to track some of those problems. The second thing on this map is that you see on some of our main corridors, we've put travel sensors in there that can help us determine the travel time. And so going back to the heart of this presentation is what happened during those 3 closures. Well, the first, when the Blanchette Bridge closed, go back, you can see that people that were heading east on 70 had to divert to another route. So they started looking at 5th Street and headed down past Arena and trying to get on Page Avenue to get across the bridge. Well, the signals that are at Upper Bottom and Arena that have multiple jurisdictions all of a sudden got flooded. And so by having the system, there were some changes that were able to be implemented by those signal timing to get cars moving. During the second event on 370, same thing. The operator of this system would notice that there was backups on 94 and the signals, people trying to avoid the closure, was able to adjust those signal timings. When the crane broke loose and came across the 64 and leaned against the bridge and they had to close that bridge, people start using primarily 94 and to get to 364. And that was during the morning. If everybody remembers, that was kind of morning they figured that out. Well, normally in the morning, everybody's heading east, obviously. So they were able to change. A lot of the signals were already adjusted for that eastward movement, but they were able to make some small tweaks to the signals at that point also. And also playing changeable message signs, those ones you see on the trailers, and post people to use alternate routes. And when they post those routes, folks were able to monitor the signals to make sure, like Route K and some of our local arterials, were going to be able to handle that additional traffic. This map shows where we have travel sensors, and they were able to monitor whether that additional traffic was starting to cause congestion on those local routes. And so this was some just very beginning, basic, fundamental goals of the Gateway Green Light, is how we can better divert traffic and manage that traffic when we need to. So that's kind of where we stand on those three projects. Summary, Gateway Green Light, first phase is $5 million. We're almost done with that first $5 million investment. And hopefully in this year, we'll see the second $3.8 million invested. And so that'll bring additional infrastructure, additional communications out onto the street. And then just today, we received a preliminary announcement that a third phase of Gateway Green Light will be brought on board for another $2.3 million. When you put all of this together, it's a significant investment, but when you look at the congestion in the urban, really tight urbanized area of the county, there's not a lot of opportunities for additional lanes. And so this will help us to better manage that system, be able to make tweaks on the signal timings as we go through when we see congestion, not only on a daily basis, but when there's major closure like we saw there in the last month. With that, that's all I have. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any questions from the council?
Mr. Chairman, one comment. Relative to where the crane hit the Daniel Boone Bridge, I had a friend that told me he got caught into that mess out there. Sat there for a couple of hours. Steve and I had a conversation about it. This doesn't cure that problem. What it cures is all the ancillary problems when people try to divert from that traffic situation. So you don't hear the benefits of that so well because people don't understand we've made adjustments in time and things like that. But it certainly does help the situation once people disperse and try to go elsewhere.
Is it proactive enough that when we have like an event at the family arena that we'll be able to adjust the lights on those on the big event nights? Or is that not something obviously that happens every night, so we wouldn't want to set the lights to accommodate that many people then? But is something like an event at the family arena, would that trigger a reaction from the system?
That's where we're headed. We're not there yet. We're very beginning phases of the project. Like I said, the first phase 1. But the family arena may be an example, or another example is 4th of July. Every city has that firework display, and there's a flood of people trying to get out. Now, that's never going to replace the cop on the corner waving traffic on. That's going to be your first line of defense. But as you get further and further out from the downtown or where the fireworks are, you can start having the signals being monitored and adjustments made as needed. The goal of the third phase is then also to putting together the studies and the plans so that instead of having to do it on the fly and make adjustments manually, is that the operator that's controlling the system can say, okay, this is a 4th of July plan, hit button A, and there's a manual and not standard operating procedures for each of these major events. And we'll be working with the cities to identify whether it's 4th of July or what event that they think is important that we need to have these diversion plans.
Or St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's and here would be a great example.
Kind of important out here, isn't it? Thanks, John. That's really exciting that the county, the cities, and MoDOT are all working together because obviously these roads they don't recognize the political boundary lines between, and we need a system that looks at moving traffic throughout the whole county. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes.
If it works, perhaps we could convince the city of St. Louis to install it down around the stadium too.
Well, we can always dream, can't we? Thank you. Let's see. We need to vote on that particular item then. Is there a motion to approve that item?
So moved.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Next we have a resolution, number 1402. Carol, are you going to read it?
I am.
Okay. While Carol's reading it, Steve, would you like to join me at the podium with our elected officials from Cottleville?
Resolution 1402, request by Mike Klinghammer, sponsored by council as a whole. A resolution declaring the city of Cottleville, Missouri, county seat for the day. Whereas located along the old Boonslick Road, now Missouri State Highway N, the city of Cottleville is one of the oldest municipalities in St. Charles County. And whereas Cottleville was first settled by Captain Warren G. Cottle, who secured a land grant from the Spanish in 1798, and after his death, one of his grandsons, Lorenzo Cottle, in 1839, platted into lots part of his property and named the town Cottleville in honor of his deceased father, Dr. Warren G. Cottle. And whereas the original platting of Cottleville, drawn on the back of a print of George Washington, was acknowledged by the clerk of the Circuit Court of St. Charles County on April 1st, 1839. And whereas on the 1839 plat, Lorenzo Cottle dedicated lots on either side of St. Charles Street between 4th Street and Main Street for public purposes. Each of the lots were subsequently deeded to the town of Cottleville and St. Charles County respectively. And whereas after its platting, the village of Cottleville prospered, and in 1846 the town rivaled the city of St. Charles, prompting petitions to be circulated to have the county seat of justice transferred from the city of St. Charles to Cottleville. The people of the city of St. Charles heard about this daring attempt and soon had many counter petitions circulated. This ended the ambitions of Cottleville's residents to bring the county seat to Cottleville. And whereas the St. Charles County Council recognizes the city of Cottleville for its rich history and its role in the growth and development of St. Charles County over the years. Now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of St. Charles County, Missouri as follows. Section 1, on the 175th anniversary of the original platting of the city of Cottleville, and in recognition of its storied past and bright future as an integral part of St. Charles County, the County Council of St. Charles County, Missouri hereby declares that on this 14th day of April 2014, the city of Cottleville, Missouri is the county seat for the day. Section 2, on the 14th day of April 2014, the County Council shall hold its regular meeting in the board chambers of the City Hall of the City of Cottleville, Missouri at 5490 5th Street, Cottleville, Missouri.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Congratulations. 175 years. This is quite a mark. Gotta say, personally, I'm kind of glad that the folks back then weren't successful in moving it, but that's only because I live in the city, so city of St. Charles. So thank you very much, and we certainly appreciate y'all letting us come out and borrow your building for the day.
We're honored that you came.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
Everybody, squish on those.
Thanks. Thanks, Board.
Okay, next we have another resolution.
We need to read the title and take the roll.
You're correct. Thank you.
A resolution declaring the city of Cottleville, Missouri, county seat for the day. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Okay, now we're official. Next we have another resolution, this one congratulating Gene and Sophie Steinhoff on their 70th wedding anniversary. I'm absolutely amazed that anybody can make it 70 years. That is quite a feat. I've known Gene for quite a while. I can't say I've ever met his wife, but he was an integral part of St. Charles Park System for quite a long time.
Yes, he. I
Strong.
just want to mention he is. These are my in-laws, my father and mother-in-law, and they are also the county executives, aunt and uncle. Okay, and we celebrated the event yesterday with a small party, and obviously when you celebrate a 70th wedding anniversary, there's not a large number of people around that were present at the event. So it was it's just there's just fantastic people. Gene was actually home on leave during World War II, and if you can imagine, he'd come home from the Pacific front of the war in 1944, got married, and they told him that he would be able to stay stateside. And of course, you know how the Army is, they have their own mind, and shipped him to Europe 2 months after they were married. So the first part of their marriage was they were separated because of World War II. But just want to mention, these are the kind of folks that are the real backbone of St. Charles County. Folks like this. Gene was raised on a farm down in West Alton, Black Walnut, and Sophie was raised on a farm in Portage de Sioux. So they couldn't be with us tonight. Their health is, pretty good for being 96 and 92, but not good enough to get out here to Cottleville. So I want to thank the council for this resolution.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing those words with us. Anybody else? If you would read the title, please.
Resolution 1403, request by Terry Hollander, sponsored by council as a whole. A resolution congratulating Gene and Sophie Steinhoff for 70 years of marriage. Whereas Gene and Sophie Steinhoff were married April 11, 1944 at St. Francis Church in Portage de Sioux, Missouri, and whereas Gene Steinhoff was serving in the U.S. Army during World War II and was home on leave to be married, and whereas Gene and Sophie raised 4 children, Gary, Brenda, Randy, and Keith, they have 9 grandchildren and 10 great-grandchildren. And whereas Gene was a longtime employee at Denning Appliance on Main Street in St. Charles, whereas Gene was a founding member of the St. Charles Junior Baseball Association and the St. Charles Amateur Hall of Fame, and whereas Gene served as a longtime member of the St. Charles City Parks Department and has a pavilion in his honor at Blanchette Park. Now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of St. Charles County, Missouri as follows. Section 1. The County Council of St. Charles County hereby recognizes and congratulates Gene and Sophie Steinhoff for being married 70 years on April 11, 2014. A resolution congratulating Gene and Sophie Steinhoff for 70 years of marriage. Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have bills for introduction. The first bill is number 4076. You can read that one for us, please.
Bill number 4076, requested by Wayne Anthony, sponsored by Joe Brazel. An ordinance granting conditional use permit 22067 for a firewood cutting, sales, and storage, automobile, truck, trailer, and recreational vehicle sales and storage, and boat storage to Eric Riemann and Mitchell Riemann.
Does anybody have any questions or comments about this one?
I got a question, I guess, for Robert, or I guess Wayne's not here. Are you for Robert? Are you? Yeah. Does this follow our master plan for that 70 corridor?
Yes, it does. The Interstate Drive is just to the south of this, and that's going to be extended at some point. So this property is already zoned commercial right now. So this conditional use permit would be for a type of commercial that would be in keeping with really the current zoning and the future future commercial in the corridor. I kind of see this as maybe a transitional commercial use to some year there'll be some sort of you might call it a more intensive commercial use on that corner once the roadway is extended and more traffic there. But
The only thing that concerns me is that this is the last thing that we did. What'd you call it? What'd you call it? Transitional. Yeah. So this is the second one we've had. It's transitional, and the only thing that concerns me is we keep doing these. We have wood cutting services on Highway 70. Welcome to St. Charles. Look at all the tractor trailers and piles of wood. So I don't know, is that really what we want to, I'm just concerned a little bit about that. I mean, that's right when we're coming into St. Charles County. I just don't know. I mean, it's just, right now it's a house, it's not a good spot for residential, I understand it, so it has to be commercial. I just don't know if is that Dave, what was your comments, you from the Planning and Zoning meeting?
Basically, I don't know, this is a little ways back from the highway, and you can't even see it from one roadside there because of all the elevation and the trees. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval unanimously for this use.
I think if I may add this, that you have to take these on a case-by-case basis because it's a conditional use permit, and the Planning and Zoning Commission for these circumstances in this particular piece of property felt like that this was a reasonable request. I think in part because there's because of the setback, but also there's a really healthy stand and mature trees all along the south property line and also along both roadways essentially, and they're evergreens mainly. So I think that helps with the screening.
Does it call out in the conditions to keep the stand of trees though?
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Bill, the same thing.
Yeah, there is a condition, I believe, that any tree that's damaged has to be replaced with 3 trees.
Okay. It's a little bit harder since we get all this paper. If we don't have our computer, we can't. We don't get the pictures and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't this kind of behind the concrete plan anyway? It's not like, it's kind of like in that stretch of road with the concrete plan and the brick plan is and the CPC.
It's way before that.
It is, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the concrete plant, but I do know that it doesn't set directly on at the South Point, is that the road there? It doesn't set directly on the road. Actually, it's set back quite a ways from the roadway itself. The buildings that are there right now, they're not exactly easy enough to see just because of the distance setback. And this plan would preserve that open area on the corner where there's a large pond. So that would remain exactly the way it is now. That would be the natural drainage for that parcel.
Any other questions? Okay. If there's no other questions on that one, we'll move forward to bill number 4077.
Bill number 4077, request by Wayne Anthony, sponsored by Joe Cronin. An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A, agricultural district, 5 acres minimum lot size, to RR, single-family residential district, 3 acres minimum lot size, as per application 21936.
Is anybody, Mr. Cronin?
Mr. Hemmer contacted me today. He was unable to make this meeting. He'll be at the next one. But I'm familiar with this area. Mr. and Mrs. Hemmer already live in a home in St. Paul. There's a lot of Hemmers in that area, and this is a 3-acre plan on building a house on a 3-acre lot. So it's very similar to the other development in the area. I believe Planning and Zoning recognize that, and I have no problems with it all. Mr. Hemmer will be at the next meeting, I'm sure, if you have any questions for him.
Thank you, Mr. Cronin. Is there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move forward to 4078.
Bill number 4078, request by Julie Eckstein, sponsored by Mike Klinghammer. An ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a memorandum of agreement with the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services and the St. Charles County Department of Community Health and the Environment related to expanding HIV testing programs, such services to be fully funded by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services.
Is there any questions or comments, council? Seeing none, we'll move forward to 4079.
Bill number 4079, request by Julie Eckstein, sponsored by Mike Klinghammer. An ordinance authorizing execution of documents for receipt of grant funds up to the amount of $3,500 under the Capacity Building Awards Program from the National Association of County and City Health Officials, and further amending Ordinance 13-092 by providing related supplemental appropriations to the budget of the Department of Community Health and the Environment.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move forward to the next bill.
Bill number 4080, request by Steve Ellman and presiding Judge Rick Zaire, sponsored by Mike Klinghammer. An ordinance authorizing acceptance of the multidisciplinary training for child abuse neglect grant from the Missouri Office of State Courts Administrator for receipt of funds up to the amount of $2,766.30, and further amending Ordinance 13-092 relating to a supplemental appropriation to the budget of the juvenile court in that amount.
Okay, any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move forward to bill number 4081.
Bill number 4081, request by Ken Simmons, sponsored by Mike Klinghammer, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of the 2014 non-playground scrap tire material grant from the Missouri Department of Natural Resources for receipt of funds up to the amount of $1,098, and further amending the 2014 budget adopted as Ordinance 13-092 by making a supplemental appropriation to the budget of the Juvenile Division of the Circuit Court in that amount.
Okay, any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move forward to the tabled bills. We have nothing for final passage tonight. Excuse me.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to have a work session in the next meeting regarding Resolution 13-17. I've been working on this, and I believe so has Ms. Jennifer George. And I believe it would be prudent if we brought in folks from Republic Services, which we made contacts with, from Missouri Department, Missouri Coalition for the Environment, possibly Pattonville Fire District, to give the council an update on Westlake Quarry and consider the resolution. I would like to inform the council that as of about a week and a half ago, I did send a substitute resolution that has some wording and changes to it that basically pull out any references to moving the substances at Westlake Quarry, but more importantly, left the intentions of having the Army Corps of Engineers review the entire site and EPA actions of the state. So I'd like to make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor of having a work session on this at the next council meeting, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. If you would, I know we have it, but send another copy of the proposed changes that Mr. Cronin's going to put forth.
Mr. Chairman, do we have any other items, or is that the only one at this time, do you know, for a work session?
I believe that's the only one that's on the agenda as far as I know.
Okay, so how much time would you need?
I'm going to say we need to bring in, I'd like to hear from Julie Eckstein at that meeting too, okay? So I'm thinking we bring in 4 or 5 experts on it and maybe give them 15, I'll ask them ahead of time to limit their comments to 15 minutes. So we could do a 5:30, I think we could get it done, no problem.
Sounds good to me.
There's a lot of information there. I think Jennifer's got a lot of it too, so if we bring them all in, I think we can get down to the bare bones of the issue real quickly.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't know that we were going to have that much time, so appreciate you talking about the time needed. So we'll set that for 5:30. Next we have we're going to move for discussion and a vote. That being the bill number 4074. Carol, if you'd read that one for us, please.
Well, we need a motion to
I'm sorry.
remove it from.
Motion to remove.
We're going to remove from it first. Motion to remove from the table has been made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, now we'll go forward with reading it.
Okay. An ordinance approving an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Cottleville for the extension of Main Street between Chestnut Street and Oak Street.
Okay, is there any comments or discussions on this one? Saying none, doesn't look too controversial. Roll call.
I got a comment.
Yep.
You guys, I'll vote for this if you improve your traffic situation for St. Patty's Day.
Get those green light cameras. They'll take care of that, right?
And I'll vote for it if we get to use this nice hall if we have another water pipe for it.
Yeah. Not only that, this is one of the bigger crowds that we've had. So let's go ahead and have a roll call vote.
An ordinance approving an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Cottleville for the extension of Main Street between Chestnut Street and Oak Street. Councilmember Elam.
Yes.
Councilmember Klinghammer.
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond.
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander.
Yes.
Councilmember White.
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin.
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel.
Yes.
Hey, Donna, what's the date of the next council meeting? Okay, the April 28th meeting will be held back in the council chambers on 3rd Street in the district of the city of St. Charles. So that the one-day move will be over at that time. So we'll be back in our normal digs. And is there any other announcements or questions at this time?
Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to recognize someone here, a group of people. Really, as you know, we had an unfortunate event at our dog park in Quail Ridge that resulted in the death of one of the animals. And it was a very difficult situation. I want to just thank Julie Eckstein and her entire department for the professionalism I think they showed in dealing with this. And I think they did a super job, and just want to thank them for their work.
Yeah, I did read about that one. It was a good resolution. I was pleasantly surprised that even the owner of the dog that was killed was accepted that it was handled well. And Julie, very nicely done. Thank you. Okay, nothing else. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Nice job. I was going to ask you to join us, but I see what they're. Nah, we're all good.